In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a combination chart, or what we call a combo chart, and then I'll also show you how to edit your data series. So when you create a combination chart, what you're doing is you're combining two different chart types. So you might have a bar chart, and then for the second data series, you might have a line chart that goes over on top of that bar chart. So it's really combining the data into one chart, but two different chart types. So when we are doing a combination chart, it's pretty easy to do. I think the big thing is what do you decide as being the line chart, what do you decide as being the bar chart. It all depends on what the data is and what it represents. So here's an example of creating a combination chart. One of the options you will have when you do select a chart is called combo. And when you do a combo chart, what you're really doing is you're creating a series that will actually look one way, line chart, and another series, the second one you have highlighted, may be a clustered column chart. Now you can also have two axes as well, a primary axis and a secondary axis. So when creating a combination chart, you're working with primary and secondary axes. So when a chart has a primary and secondary axis, you're going to have an axis on the left side of the chart, which is going to represent the primary, and then the secondary axis will be on the right side. So we're going to go ahead and create a combination chart, and here's an example of taking a line chart and putting it on top of a bar chart. So let me go ahead and take you to Excel. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to work with our New Century Fund sector percentages here. So let me go ahead and scroll this over to the right, and we'll increase it a little bit more. Alright, so right now you see that we have two data series. The first one, which is the blue bar, that represents the New Century funds and what they've invested in. The second one, which is the red one, that represents the comparison to the S&P 500. Now we also have our primary axis here, which is the vertical axis. We have our legend down at the bottom, and then we have our title there at the top. And then to the right you have your three chart buttons. You have the chart elements, you have the chart styles, and then you have the filtering. And remember, I said the filtering is where you can dim out or pull out some of the data if you want to see how it impacts the rest of the data as well. So let's go ahead and let's create a combination chart. What you can do at this point is you can go ahead and choose change chart type, and then come down to combination or combo, and you can see it's already giving you an example what might work based on what you have plotted. And this usually tends to be on track when you're doing this. So you can see down at the bottom the series name. The first series I said we have was New Century. That's going to be a cluster column. The second one, which is the S&P 500, that will be a line column. So this is pretty easy. We'll just go ahead and click OK and see what it does. And there you go. It's that easy. That easy. Alright, let me do a Control Z, which is the undo, and I'll show you another way to do it. You can right click on the data series that you want to change the chart type, and then left click on change series chart type, and then you can go ahead and you'll come back to the same screen, and then you can change it to whatever you want. Alright. First one's a lot easier because it's already ready to go. So the first one was just to come to the Design tab, go to the right and click on Change Chart Type, and choose Combo, and it'll set it up for you, and then just click OK. Now, if you want to make a change to that and you want to add a secondary axis, we can make the line chart a secondary axis. You're going to see on the right hand side of the chart that is your secondary axis. On the left hand side is the primary. If I turn that off, you can see it switches back, and it's also changing the intervals as well for you. If we make our New Century the secondary, then those values will be on the right, and then on the left represents the larger, which is the S&P. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the S&P on the right, and we'll go ahead and click OK. So very easy to do. What they also call, sometimes you'll read this called an overlay chart. It's a combo chart. You're overlaying on top of a chart a different chart style. So that's pretty easy to do. Now, something else you can do, and let me go ahead and Control Z and undo this. I'll undo this a couple times. Is we can go ahead and change the data as well. So what I'm going to show you next is how to edit the chart data source. And what I mean by the chart data source, that is where these numbers are located, where you're pulling them from. All right. So to edit the chart data source, you want to go to the Design tab and you want to choose Select Data. Now note when I chose Select Data, I've got this dialog box. It's telling me the exact range where the data is coming from. So sometimes when you see a chart and you're not sure where you pulled the data from, or it's not looking like the example in the book, you want to see what you plotted. So this is telling me on the ST sectors sheet, I selected cells A3 through D15. So if I see, oh, yes, it's highlighting it, yes, I did get the correct data, or the cells that contain all the information, then I'm good to go. Otherwise, oh, I see I'm missing utilities. So this is a good way to double check your work. Now, something else you can do is you can remove some of these data series. So let's say I want to keep New Century, but I don't want the S&P. So on the left-hand side, these are my legend entries, or your series. I'm going to click on the check mark next to S&P to remove it, and click OK. And now you can see that my chart only displays the New Century. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Select Data. Now here's the neat thing about this. Because my initial chart contained both the New Century numbers, that's in column C, and the S&P in column D, when I actually removed it, I didn't remove it. I just said, hey, don't display it in this chart. So if I want to bring it back, I can always bring it back by clicking on the checkbox. And there it is. Now, the other thing you can do, if you truly, truly want to remove it, select it and choose Remove, and it will be gone. All right. And now you can see that it's completely removed. And if I go back to Select Data, it's not going to be there. So if I want to add, I can choose Add, highlight the S&P and the numbers underneath. And now I'm going to have an error because it doesn't know what to associate it with. So let me go ahead and remove it. We'll go ahead and add my bad. Let me add that for the data series. And then the values will be down here. There we go. So it wanted the series name, which is the title in this cell, and then it wanted the value. So I had to do it separate compared to when we initially created the chart. Yeah, that's a little messed up. So I'm going to be playing with that one. Alright, and this is where I just love Control Z. Wrong, you can Control Z and undo it. So this is where, on the Design tab, where you can work with the data source as well. Alright? Now the other thing you can do is you can switch the column and rows. Now this is not going to look the best with this one, but I'm going to show you how to do this. I could do this from the Select Data and choose Switch Column and Rows. Or what I can do, let me scroll back over, just come up here and click on Switch Rows and Column and just do it automatically. So then it's going to cluster it by New Century investments compared to S&P sector investments as well. So you can do it that way. So sometimes you can take that one chart and make multiple charts out of it. So have fun with this one.